I'm working on an indie game called Gilded Eternal. It's a game about luring monsters and hoarding gold. It's an action platformer where you can't attack monsters. Your only defense is to lure monsters into the king's hand. There are countless games that have influenced Gilded Eternal, both directly, Super Crate Box, Risk of Rain 2, and indirectly, Elden Ring, and any Zelda game. But there is one game that has influenced Gilded Eternal and my design sensibilities in general more than almost any other. That game is Downwell. Downwell is a perfect game. I can't tell you how much this game has changed the way I think about designing games. Downwell originally came out on mobile, but now you can also get it on Switch, PS4, PS Vita, and Steam. You play as a guy going down a well with gun shoes. There are 4 areas in this well, each with randomized layouts. It's an action roguelike. As you're falling down, you shoot or stomp on monsters, pick up new weapons, and spend gems in a shop. Honestly, going back and playing Downwell, it's amazing how much it has inspired Gilded Eternal. One of the big things is points as currency. In a lot of games, you do cool things, you fight the bad guys, you land a trick, whatever, you get points. At the end of the game, those points are tallied and become your high score. In Downwell, your points are these gems that drop out of monsters when you defeat them. But these gems are also your currency. You can spend them in the shop to get upgrades. This causes the player to question how they want to play. I want to get a high score, but I'm at 1 health. Should I buy some food or do I risk it and go for gold? This is something I ended up using in Gilded Eternal. There's a huge emphasis on collecting coins and getting a huge score, but sometimes you might want to spend some gold if it means you get more in the long run. Now, to be fair, this isn't new in Downwell. Spelunky has a similar system where your points are the treasure you pick up. But at the time I played Downwell, I had never seen a game do it so simply. And I was at such an early point in my design learning that it clicked with me and opened a door. Another big thing for me was the fact that you can gain an unlimited number of hearts. You start out with 4 health. As you play, you take damage, of course, and you find weapon capsules that give you health, or you can spend gems at the shop to buy healing food. The cool thing is, if you are at full health and you eat food, it fills this meter. When the meter is full, you gain 1 max health. You can have unlimited health. It doesn't just cap it at a specific number, only to be raised when you level up. If you're good enough, you can raise your max health out of skill alone. This is so cool, and I thought about this when deciding whether or not I should cap the max health in Gilded Eternal. I mean, where have you seen this in a game before? Oh, I guess they did that in Spelunky too. Huh. Well, here's one that Downwell did. Enemies drop gems. As I said earlier, these gems are the points and the currency of the game. The cool thing, though, is that the gems fade away after a few seconds. This creates almost a micro-objective, where now, instead of trying to go down the well, your immediate goal is to get the gems before they disappear. In an effort to get gems, you might end up being more risky. This is something I thought about when deciding how my coins should behave in Gilded Eternal, and I ultimately landed on having them disappear after a few seconds. This is something that is definitely unique to Downwell. Oh, Mario did something kind of like this. Well, what about... Huh. Who to call for plagiarism crime. In Mark Twain's own autobiography, he says, "There is no such thing as a new idea. It is impossible. We simply take a lot of old ideas and put them into a sort of mental kaleidoscope. We We give them a turn and they make new and curious combinations. We keep on turning and making new combinations indefinitely. But they are the same old pieces of colored glass that have been in use through all the ages. Every game, every movie, everything you see or consume is sitting deep in your mind. When bits and pieces of those things resurface, strung together in new forms, those are ideas. Every game you play is a reworking of other games or media or life. What feels different or new is how the developers strung their ideas together. So why doesn't this count as theft? Why is taking bits and pieces from old things and reforming them called creation and not copy? Let's look at 3 more examples. This is a mobile game called Threes, released on February 6th, 2014. In Threes, you slide these number tiles around on a board and squish them into each other against the side of the board. When a 2 and a 1 get squished, they form a 3. For any number 3 or higher, slide 2 matching tiles together to form the sum of those 2 numbers. Keep going for as long as you can. This is a mobile game called 2048, released on March 9th, 2014. In 2048, you slide these number tiles around on a board and squish them into each other against the side of the board. Slide 2 matching tiles together to form the sum of those 2 numbers. Keep going for as long as you can. This is a mobile game called Twinfold, released on December 5th, 2018. In Twinfold, you play as this tile guy. Slide around on the board to avoid getting hit by enemies. Slide enemies into walls or holes to defeat them. There are also 2 matching number tiles on the board. Squish them together to form the sum of those 2 numbers. Squish your tile guy into the numbers to gain experience equal to the value of the number tile. With enough experience, you gain new abilities. Consume a number tile and the environment gets regenerated with new enemies and new hazards. Keep going for as long as you can. So that is Threes, and 2 games that were inspired by Threes, but one of which is a clone and the other a descendant. 2048 takes so much from Threes that it can basically be described using the same words. Twinfold, however, takes some mechanics from Threes and completely shifts their use into an entirely new experience. 2048 is a clone. Twinfold is a descendant. Influence done right creates something entirely distinct. Gilded Eternal cannot be mistaken for Downwell, which cannot be mistaken for Spelunky, which cannot be mistaken for Super Mario. With Gilded Eternal, I'm taking my favorite bits and reforming them, rematching them, putting them into new contexts. Gilded Eternal is a descendant of the games that inspire it, in the same way that Downwell is a descendant of the games that inspire it.